that's a good one. Now, yours is next.
I have some friends that they're involved in this rebirthing process, and getting rid of all this garbage and stuff on their plate from their parents. No, their parents did this to them, and this happened when they were a child.
Little victims.
And I'm seeing this shrink this week and this person that week. What is the process there?
What are they doing?
They can't get on with their life, or
oh, what they're doing is they took their brain out and playing with it like you would a marble, but that's all right. And putting it down in their pocket and play with it. I have no interest in all that kind of stuff.
All that stuff is not. It's not useful to gain a better, higher consciousness of life.
It's very useful to the propagator of the idea because they make pretty good money at it. Okay. You always say when it's useful, you say useful to who? After all, the usual shrink is playing with people's heads. He's making them into good complainers sticking up for rights and blamers so they don't have to justify it anymore. They just got it all gone. Okay? So you see, if you go to, there's the tormentor that's the tempter, and over here is the tormentor that's guilty, builds the guilt up. Now, if you go to a shrink, he will try to destroy this one and increase the strength of this one here, so you can just go out and be as obnoxious as hell and feel all right about it, okay? And if you go to the church, they will try to kill this and then put this one up. And I know people who go to shrink 5 days a week in church too. You should see that one. They're really having a ball. Yes, I know about the rebirthing, and I know about all these other pop psychology deals that comes along. They have nothing to do about transformation. They're just giving you some good justifications to do various things and making the operator a pretty good sum of money. It's nothing wrong with making some money. I don't have any objection to it. It's just a funny way to go about it. I guess we could come up next week with a whole new system. We could start it out. Ron Hubbard wrote an article for Astounding Science Fiction magazine and made it into multi-billion-dollar business as dynamics. And he wrote a piece of fiction. He thought, but some people played around with it and they started writing in. He said, hell, let's take this for real. Forget it is fiction. Astounding Science Fiction magazine is where that article come out in the first place. And since then, it has been growth shaking, doing pretty good there. Still promoting and doing well. Okay? So I don't take any of these great new things. And what's the old girl, that movie actress that went out with her film?
Shirley MacLaine.
Shirley MacLaine, that's fun too, you know. Just don't take it very serious.
But what about the validity of these people and the conditions? Say they were beaten since from 5 years old to 13, and how that's affected them now as a sort of grown up, an adolescent state. And they've had that conditioned or that pattern, and they want to lose that or shake that or get rid of that or deal with it.
Easily do so.
And how's that?
We've been talking about it all day. They changed their viewpoint of what their purpose is. Now, my purpose is to want to sit here and complain of what an unhappy childhood I had. I've had a lot of people walk in and I say, well, tell me about yourself. And they say, well, first I had a very unhappy childhood. I said, so don't the rest of us. What's new? Now tell me something else. It's hell to be a kid. Did you ever try it? It's terrible to be a parent and look after the kids, but you ought to try being the kid. Okay? Yeah, we all had an unhappy childhood, more or less, so what? My little girl has everything she wants that she asks for. Till finally you walk up to her and say, what would you like to have? She says, nothing, I've got everything. But still, she'll wake up some morning and decide that she is a very unhappy child, so she'll bitch for an hour or two. Nobody pays much attention to it, she quits. But she does that every once in a while. So it's hell to be a kid, I understand that. But now listen, did you ever get burned in your life? On an object or something? You've been burned. Well, now, you poor thing, you've got to get that trauma undone. It no doubt is locked up in you and destroying your life and all these wonderful things, whether you say, well, I'm not being burned now and go on about your business. Now, only child. All that. But I don't see any reason to carry that around the rest of my life. We had piss poor judgment at that time.
Thank you, Brian.
Is that all right? Got your question taken care of now? I don't know. I'll have to say.
No, I've just
I
heard
don't know.
people mention that, and I mean.
Well, I've read all this stuff too. I've read a multitude of New Age pop psychology. I try to keep abreast of what's going on. I don't take it very seriously. You know, you've heard of things that taking it with a grain of salt. I just don't take it at all, salt or no salt. I just listen. It's interesting. Give somebody something to do while they're being miserable.
Would Life Spring fall into one of those categories of
Oh,
using,
yeah, I know those folks do. Okay, now your question, sir.
What we've been talking about has been basically symptoms or unusual behavior based on the vicious cycle of
Yeah,
false
that's
sense of
when he
emergency.
asked, the question was
Right.
about how do you get sick?
Now, if you, again, or
If
in
you
an
wanted to
alternate
put on the
situation,
other
if you
side.
actually do injure yourself, then I think it's valuable to get a diagnosis. Like, I'd like
If-
to know if my hand is broken or only sprained.
Well, we're not talking about a diagnosis, you're talking simply analysis, you're looking at it. Diagnosis is about illnesses.
Okay.
And if you get your leg cut, we don't have to have a diagnosis, we can see it. If it's broken, we can check it with an x-ray and see it's broken, we'll do appropriate setting. I said very carefully this morning that we're not talking about trauma when the category of being ill. Trauma is one thing, illness is another. Now, you heard about the man who broke his ankle and he was still trying to get around on it, and he went home, told his wife about it. He didn't go to the doctor with this broken ankle for approximately 2 weeks. And when he went, it was actually gangrene, it was all swollen and bloody, and the tissue was falling apart, and the doctor said, this is 2 or 3 weeks old, where have you been? He said, well, I was at home. And he said, well, why didn't you come before? This is a broken ankle, it can be serious, we'll have to amputate this thing. He said, well, every time I said my ankle hurt, my wife said, if you quit smoking, you would quit all right. So I quit smoking and got along, but it still kept hurting, so I finally decided I'd come anyway. You just quit that damn smoking. All right. So she was mixing up trauma and symptoms too, you know. And of course, I don't think, I doubt if cigarette caused near as much as coop down the U.S. claims it does.
What about illness versus disease?
Illness versus disease. Disease don't exist. Dis-ease does, not at ease. That merely means not at ease. And it's a mispronunciation when they say disease and give it a name, okay?
Okay.
Illness is about the same thing. Now, if you said I'm ill, which means I don't feel so hot, you're not diagnosing or messing it up. You're just saying and see if you can't find a way to get yourself calm, peaceful, let it all adapt out in a day or two, you go on the way. I've got some kids who have learned a few things more than their parents do. I draw a big picture for the kids with a ball here and a ball here and so forth. And I show a bunch of little men in the bottom ball doing things. So if they got an upset stomach, I show the little guys in there scooping it out and throwing it out at the top. And so the little men in there are doing a good job to get them to feel all right. So the idea is go lay down, get out of the way so the little guys can work, okay? So the kids will tell Mama, I don't feel so hot, I'm going in and lay down and let the little men work. Well, Mama thinks they're a little bit nuts, but she knows she brought them to me, so I might well put up with that. And a few minutes, the kid says, they got through. Tickles off and goes on about their business. Now, that's not a very scientific approach, but it is very accurate, and it works. Okay, so the kids don't get sick, and they don't run to the doctor and tell them they got this and pour them full of toxic substances like antibiotics and everything. They go lay down on their bed a little bit till the little men get through working, and then they go on playing. Sounds all right. Think you can do this? Can you do as well as the little kids do? They're doing pretty good with it. They don't end up standing off. They're just out doing whatever they're doing. They say, little man's working, I'm going in and lay down. Get out of their way. That works pretty good. It only takes a few minutes from beginning to end, but again, little man, that'll work in peace, okay? Yep, okay,
This is not related to what we've just been talking about.
good.
But,
I like to do that.
just, I have a tremendous difficulty with authoritative figures or people who are bossy.
I do too. I
not
don't have any
just-
problem with them.
Not
I
just
ignore
I
them.
have a tremendous problem with I've
you-
always had my problem with my bosses, but I also have problems when I unlock someone being authoritative or bossy with their wives or their employees or the dog or
Or
anybody.
anything
And,
else.
and I think that maybe I would be able to handle it a little better myself, my understanding, if I understood what drove them to be, the need to have power or control over someone, that they can, an employer can dictate, not from a workable everyday organisation, that this person has to go for lunch at 12 and this person has to go to lunch at 1 so that someone can answer the phone. But I mean the power to be able to say, you cannot leave your desk now, whether you want to go to the bathroom or not, or you can't leave it. You know, this control, there seems to be a need or a
Well,
desire to
basically,
have control over
everybody
somebody
that's
else.
using that, you wanna know what they're doing?
I'd love to know.
Huh? You would like to know? Well, I can tell you, and you can check it out and see. They're trying to get over their sense of inferiority. They have a big sense of inferiority, and they don't want to recognize that, so they go around acting like they're very official or authoritative, while they're trying, that's their way of trying to get over a sense of inferiority. Now, if you will watch, you will see where they express this inferiority all over the place, and they're trying their damnedest to hide it from themselves. Watch it and see.
Mm.
Why else would I want to tell somebody they couldn't go to the bathroom now? I just want to show I'm an authority, because I'm very much in doubt about it, so I really feel inferior. Every bully in the world I know has a big sense of inferiority.
It's a dreadful way to live. But
So how about
unfortunately,
watching it now?
unfortunately, if you have a boss that's like that, you can't do much about it. You have
Oh,
to,
yeah, you can.
oh, that's what I'd like to know. What can I do?
Well, you happen to recognize they feel inferior because they don't, in their opinion, get enough attention and approval. So go by and give him some attention and give him a little dab of approval every now and then, and pretty soon he will be asked to use them. Instead of telling, okay, so you tell him he's got on a pretty tie, his shoes look nice today, or you're sure glad that he's knowledgeable in this business, or something, doesn't matter, just so you're giving attention and throw in a little dash of approval, okay?
That's
Now,
the
you'll
best.
never get enough, understand? You'll never get enough, but at least he'll let you know.
Mm.
That's all you're really interested in, isn't it?
Mhm.
You won't straighten him out, I guarantee you that.
Mm-mm.
But give him some attention and approval several times a day, because he's hungry for attention. You see, we've got to have attention in order to survive, not near as much as most people want, especially people who feel inferior, because you can never give them enough to make them feel they're all right. But if you give them up a notch of it, they'll begin to look at you as having some brains. Now, they got to have attention in order to survive. They got to have a little approval in order to thrive. So let's feed them. They're just like if you had a hungry dog around, he'd be barking at you all the time. Okay. So you're working with somebody, which many execs are, because they drive themselves so hard trying to get over their sense of inferiority. They usually promote it up there.
Yeah, right.
And when they get there, they still feel inferior. And so they do all this browbeating stuff you're talking about. You know, you can't leave here, it has to go to the bathroom, I don't care what you're going on. And so on down the line, and a bunch of other silly things. But give them some attention, give them some approval, a lot more attention than you do approval, and you will see that they get off your back, and that's all you care about. But they won't get over their sense of inferiority, okay? All right, good enough?
Thank you.
Okay, let's take a little break. It's
Good idea.
about 4:15. Let's back here about 4:30. And we'll do our duty and stay for a little while. We've talked about everything we need to talk about. We can all do it, but we'll sit here a little bit longer. Do everything we're supposed to do. Okay?
We all sit here and be normal.
You can see it if you just look. Don't take my word for it, just look, you'll see it.
I just don't understand the need to be able to dominate
Why,
somebody
that's
else's
because
life.
they're feeling inferior and they're hoping to back and jump on top of it, well, that'll make it feel better, you know. It's like
I
light
wonder what that
rooster.
person feels like inside them.
Miserable, I can tell you. I work with them all the time.
I said no.
We have on the board satisfaction and contentment. Or contentment and satisfaction. Now, your contented is a state of mind. That's when you are at ease with yourself and everything around. You're contented, okay? Not trying to change the situation. Okay? You ever been contented? Well, for a while. Short term anyway. And satisfaction is a state of the senses. Now, the reason I put that up there, that seldom are we have continual satisfaction, thank goodness. I would hate to have total and complete satisfaction. I'd have nothing else left to live for. So I eat a beautiful dinner and I'm very satisfied, but thank goodness I get hungry again, okay? The satisfaction wears off. Because the fun's getting new satisfaction, huh? I'm with a lovely friend, there's great satisfaction, but thank goodness it wears off very quickly. Okay? Real quick. Then we can have the same thing over again and what have you, all right? Now, contentment is what I want to put out here, and which you can all think about a little bit. You can challenge me with it if you like. Is here comes your friend over here. Contented to be dissatisfied. How's that sound? I am contented to be dissatisfied. I'm usually dissatisfied about something, and I hope I always am. Okay, because if I was totally, completely satisfied, I'd sit under the nearest saguaro cactus and never move again. Okay, why bother? So I'm thankful. I am dissatisfied most of the time. Okay, I achieve great wonders of satisfaction, but it only lasts very shortly. Is that all right? You go out and make a big deal, you're very satisfied over it, but thank goodness it wears off in a while or you'll never go make another one, okay? All right?
Yes.
You? So you come up with a challenge of some sort, and you're dissatisfied with it, but you find out to work it about, like the one you and I were talking about a few minutes ago, and you have great satisfaction in accomplishing that, but then in a few minutes you're dissatisfied about something else. So thank goodness I'm dissatisfied. We'd never have any reason to get up and do anything otherwise. Satisfaction is merely a state of the senses, and the senses refuse to stay satisfied very long at a time. But I am contented to be dissatisfied. Now, can you play that along quite well? You know, a lot of people who get at least a bit dissatisfied, they're climbing the wall and making all sorts of noise. Gotta find some new stimulation to get satisfied on right away. But can you be contented to be dissatisfied? That way you have a lot of very nice anticipation. No, I'm not going to be always, because I'm always out there gaining some more and then all the time, okay? But I'm contented to feel dissatisfied until I can actualize satisfaction again. Is that all right? And while I'm being dissatisfied, I can sure have a lot of wonderful anticipation. Is that right? Okay. Now then, we're going to continue here for a little while, and you're going to ask questions or make comments that you want conversed about. They don't have to be in the form of a question. Preferably, it's better not to ask questions. And as long as you bring up subject to converse about, we'll keep on going. The minute it runs out, we quit. Okay?
And he means it. Like it's over.
I'm
Be
the one that
warned.
determines how long it's been quiet too. We will take a wee bit on questions. I will play one out here. One of the good ways to make yourself miserable is to ask an invalid question. Invalid. What does that spell?
Not valid.
Huh? Invalid.
Invalid.
What is this spell? Invalid also? It's sick. And here's a valid question. Now, a valid question, we have 4 of them that we put out. I could tell you a story, but I won't go through all that. One question is, what am I? You can, that's a valid question. You can find that out. Where am I? We're talking about not that you say you're in Vancouver, BC, but where are you in understanding and so forth, okay? Where am I? That was the question that the good Lord asked old Adam when he got lost out there. Adam, where are you? And Adam didn't answer because he didn't know. So, where am I? Next question is, what's going on here? And the next one is, what can I do? Not what can I think, but what can I do? Now, those are 4 valid questions about living. Now, there's all kinds of valid questions. What's this container made out of? Is this real wood or veneer? Or is this stainless steel, or is it just shine? So those we can all check out.
So in the face of suffering, asking why would
Yeah.
be an invalid question.
The invalid question is, why did this happen? Why did that happen? Why is this going on? What's the reason for so-and-so? So all these are invalid questions. And when you ask an invalid question, as we look today, the brain is set up with an association system in it. And there must be something over here that's remotely like whatever you're running into at the moment that you're asking a question. In order for the thing to complete, like it said, where did I meet that lady? I meet you 10 years from now from the streets of Cairo, Egypt. Where did I meet her? She sure looks familiar. Where did I know her? There is an answer there. It can find it in a while, maybe 2 or 3 weeks later, but it'll find it. Okay. But if there's nothing there, it won't. Now, the reason that much of the teaching material is done with stories and allegories and parables and such thing is because you've heard something, and now then the little parable or story comes along and it hooks up. And so, oh yeah. And then you can go out and experience it, and when you experience it out here on the street or on the highway or in the house or wherever it may be, then it hooks up again. Now then you have some knowledge. You've seen how it really works. And then when you apply it, you have wisdom. You know what's going on then. So then that answers these questions over here. But to just ask questions, well, when's am I going to be successful? When am I going to get my break in life? You got that stored in there anywhere? Nope. When am my big day going to come? Why can't I win the lottery? Why does everybody pick on me? They don't. Just 1 or 2. But we don't play it that way. We say, why does everybody pick on me? Now you know good well nobody, everybody don't pick on you. Huh? And we go on and on. Why do I always have bad luck? Why does everything I touch turn to mud, and everything he touches turns to gold? When am I going to get to have my way? Now those are invalid or invalid questions. They're thick, okay? And once you put one in, you start that infinite loop we talked about, and it goes and goes, and you're miserable, and you're more miserable, and you're more miserable, and you get nervous, titchy. And if you will one day wake up and see that I'm not going to ask questions about life, what goes on, only these four. When you do that, you will find you have peace of mind. The biggest obstruction to peace of mind is asking an endless bunch of questions of why this, why that, how come this, why that, and so on. That's the obstruction to peace of mind. And really, we can't really start living until we have peace of mind. And we said this morning, you can have peace of mind as long as you're free to experience whatever's going on. Now, if you're free to experience, you're not going to be questioning it. That's simple, isn't it? I'm not going to question that. What's going on, so what? I'm not going to holler, why did it happen? I'm free to experience it. It's the only reason we holler all these whys is I didn't want to experience it. So tell me how I can avoid it ever happening again, okay? All right, now then comes questions and comments and subjects you want to talk about. We will proceed to do so. Now I'm covered by it, okay? Okay?
Could you talk a little bit about raising children and how to work with older kids as well?
Sure. It's very expensive. For you, okay? Well, you raise kids by giving them some attention, approval, and try to keep them from getting the idea that they're inferior. Okay? It costs money. Very expensive. No matter what you do with them. And I would talk to them like they were adults and instead of like they were kids, okay? And older kids, you do likewise. You give them some respect. I have a beautiful little girl. And somebody comes in and says, "Oh, you did a job." This next walk, if you come in and just say, "Hi, Robin, how you doing?" and talk to her like I would you or somebody else, she'll be right over and talk with you a little bit. But somebody all gushes over like what a beautiful child and all that, she takes a walk. Or she ignores them, and she's very good at it. She can do a good job of ignoring, but she just doesn't like it. She tells me I don't. But if you just talk to her like, you know, you're equal folks on the level and so forth, she's happy to know we do that. I've never tried to put her down for anything that she did, and never shushed up. Thought she would embarrass me when she was doing her thing. Okay?
What about strengthening?
I'm not interested in her being good, I'm interested in being conscious, and she incidentally is a very nice child. Okay, what?
Okay, what about strengthening a young child's self-confidence?
Well, back to where we was talking about the self-confidence, that unless you've been put down and get an inferiority, most kids feel they can do anything, you know. Can't do about anything unless you keep telling them, well, you too, you can do that, you can't do that, because you don't know how. She's never heard that one. She built a doghouse not long ago, so nobody could tell her she didn't know how. She went out and done her saws, her wood, her nails, and her hammer, and she put together a pretty good looking doghouse. It's got a hole in it, but
It's supposed to though, isn't it, Doc?
it's got an extra one. And she wanted to make her a table, she made her a table. So, you know, I always agree she can do anything. She told me a few days ago, about a couple of weeks ago, she wanted to play cello. Well, I didn't say you can't do that, so we got her cello, and she's taking class in cello. I don't know what she'll do with it, I don't care. Got her half-size cello, and she can handle that, so it's all right. Yeah. Probably she'll get tired of it in a few weeks, and says, but that's all right. She said she wanted to, let's give it a go, okay? She loves to ice skate. Nobody told her she couldn't ice skate. She loves to dive. She loves to swim. Nobody ever told her she couldn't do those things, okay? Nobody told her she didn't know how. So why not just always tell them, well, sure, you can do that. You may have to work at it a little bit, but you can do it. Okay? That would increase the confidence. If you have confidence in them, they'll pick it up. And if you have confidence, you can do about everything, they'll copy you. This is the biggest thing I can add about kids is they are the greatest mimickers in all the world, and they will mimic you. You go around worried, they'll do a job of it. My mother was a past master at worrying and dreaming up things to worry about. And I did, because I copied it. And it took a little while to decide that was a bunch of foolishness and quit. But kids are the greatest mimic in the world, so if you don't see something, if you don't want them to act inferior, don't want them to ask without confidence, you demonstrate the other what's what knows something, okay? Do you ever act like you don't have confidence? Sometimes, and they copy that too sometimes, okay? So let's, number one, give them something that you would like for them to mimic. Is that all right? Okay? You and your mother give them something to mimic that you would like to see acted out, and they'll do it. Yes, sir?
I have a question related to self-confidence, extending it from what you've been saying here. I am dealing with some difficulties at work, office
Yeah.
politics.
Yeah, office politics.
How is one supposed to bear up under the pressure of someone that's constantly trying to put you down and question your
Ability.
self-confidence and your abilities and making a fairly extensive effort
Putting you down.
at excluding you?
Yeah. So how do you handle it?
Yeah.
First off, you see what's bothering them. They have a great feeling of inferiority, okay?
Yeah, I recognize that.
And when you see them doing that, then you try to do what you just said, what he asked about the kids. Try to give him some confidence. If he had confidence, he wouldn't have to go through all these shenanigans.
Right.
So let's tell him what a wonderful kid he is. I don't believe it, but we might as well tell him. Okay? Try to relieve his sense of inferiority as much as you can. It'll be greatly to your advantage. I don't care what he does to him. He may feel better for a few minutes and do something, but tonight when he gets home and lays down in his little bed, it'll still rise up that he's inferior, so you'll have to pamper it a little bit tomorrow, but you might as well give him some attention and approval. It don't cost much, it pays great dividends, especially in office politics, okay? Let's lay it on him. Get you a spatula to use it with, won't you? Okay? Lay it over with a spatula. Won't cost you nothing, and it will get things calmed down so you're not all stressed up with that infantile behavior on his part, okay? He's just feeling very inferior, so butter him up a little bit with, try to increase his degree of self-confidence. It'll do wonders for you. I don't know what it'll do for him, but at least he'll get off your back, okay? Quit trying to put you through the cracks. Okay, let's have it on. Yes, sir.
How about karma? Karmic laws, what comes around goes around. You hurt somebody and
How long does it take from the action to the reaction in this karma? Now that's you tell me that and I'll talk about it.
you say within minutes.
Well, that's always does. We say that that was what we drew the vicious cycle about a while ago, okay? That's karma. Okay?
How about years?
I don't know. Did you ever check it out on years? I haven't either. I've heard it was umpteen lifetimes, but you know, a guy that uses that law to get revenge on me, I'll forget it. Okay. No, I think balance is the law of the universe, and it's going to happen pretty soon. So if you go out and throw a big temper fit today and get yourself all worked up into a tizzy, and then you calm it off after a while, about 3 days from now you'll have some nice little symptoms like sniffling, running noses, hurting throat, and so forth and so on. And that's probably the karma. It probably takes 72 hours, but I don't think it takes 72 years or 72 lifetimes, okay? All right?
Thank you.
That's the best I checked on it. I think it happens pretty soon, okay? So you go steal something or take undue advantage of somebody and wait and see how long you have some kind of a substantial loss. May not be monetary, it may be emotional or some other way, but see how long it takes until you have a noticeable feeling of loss. It's usually not very long. I would say 72 hours usually kicks it out all right, okay? That's good enough.
Great.
That's just it. Karma, which merely is a Sanskrit word for balance. Balance is the law of the universe. We'll agree to that. But as how long it takes, I don't think it takes lifetimes. I've heard some of these good souls that talk a lot of foolishness saying, but this is my karma from my Egyptian incarnation. I have a 4-letter word I say under my breath.
What about that universal language you were just talking about, the universe?
The Amnesia language, I've heard it called
Yeah,
that.
people say,
I don't
send these
know,
signs
I
out to the
wasn't there.
universe and
All
they'll
the
come
people
back.
I've met around the world hardly talk the same language, and they don't, they may all come out the same. I don't know. You know what? I don't think it matters to them. I don't know whether the Chinese used to talk the same language that English or the Hottentots down in Africa do, but I doubt it. You know, they were all pretty well isolated for a long time. And I think there had to be some connection in between, or they would not have, they all come up with a common language. If there used to be a common, we'd probably had, it's a lot easier if we'd have had a common one, wouldn't it? So I don't think they complicated it up deliberately. Of course, I read that, you know, there was a guy named Nimrod went out, got all these kids together, and they built a big tower out of adobe blocks. They thought they was going to reach to heaven so they could go in and see what was going on in the invisible world, but the thing fell down and they confused their language, and says the gods was upset that they were all nothing they could be denied to them. They could all take the same language, so they confused their language. I heard that story, but I don't buy it. It's a good analogy of some other things, but not that's not historic. Okay? I doubt if there was anybody sitting around there with a steno machine taking it down. It's like all these endless little conversations off in bedrooms and et cetera that people had. They got recorded in books. Somebody takes that as history. I don't buy it as being history. It's a good allegory. It's a good teaching story if we want to use it for that. Okay? All right, next point out here. John?
Would you give us your answers to those 4 questions?
Well, I'd rather you find it out. I can tell you what I found out for me, if you want to know that. You want to know that? What am I? I'm an individualized expression of universal intelligence. Spirit. I'm invisible. I live in this visible body, but if I left this visible body, it'd fall on the floor. Okay? Where am I? I'm in the process of understanding life. I've been at it for a long trip on this journey, and I understand a certain amount of it and how it works and so forth, but I'm not to the end of it, and I don't imagine I ever will be, okay? So where am I? I'm probably in the 7th grade at least, somewhere along there. Junior high, first year junior high, okay? Something like that. What's going on here? Well, we're having a beautiful big school. And in this school, we have every kind of person that it takes to make up a school. Number 1, to make up a school, it takes a teacher. Second, it takes a student. Third, it takes some patience. And third, it takes some clients. And fourth, it takes the D team. D team's all out there in the street, they're above you all the time, then try to lead you away with all the suggestions they can, and try to make you forget everything you come in here to listen to, okay? They're all here. So we have this school, and our job is to get back where we really belong. Original. Okay? We came from wherever. Universal. Individualized expression of universal intelligence, which we refer to as spirit or X or some other appropriate word, okay? What can I do? I can remember what I'm here for. I can remember my purpose. And I can contribute to a pleasant, harmonious mood. I can be as harmless as possible. I'm always in somebody's way a little bit, but I'll be as harmless as possible. and I will make some little contribution to this big party we are involved in, okay? I'll make a little contribution. I said little contribution. I've been going out and trying doing big things, I don't know, but I can make a little one. I can cook dinner for a few people. I can talk and things. I can entertain a child. I can feed a hungry man. I can work with somebody who's not feeling too good so they can get back to functioning again. All those are just little contributions, okay? So I can do those. So when we get down to the last one, if we can answer the last question, we're doing pretty good. What can I do? I can make a little contribution, okay? Now we're doing all right. Does that answer the question? Good, okay? Next question.
What about the meaning of, excuse me, circumstances?
Circumstances is whenever I would involve myself in seeing at the moment. It may be zillions things I don't see. So I'm looking at a certain present to me. And whatever's going on in it, that's what's happening there, and I can see it, or I can feel it's just a big old happening, or I can kind of see what's going on. What's going on here is where it fits there. I said here, not all over. I got a certain little circumscribed place that I'm checking up on what's going on here. Just a little one. I'm not trying to see what's going on in the whole world. I read somebody knows the world view every once in a while. Do you know the world view? How many?
What I mean more specifically, I guess, is sometimes circumstances arise which seem to have what I would call some other meaning to it. In other words, it's like a message
All
from
of
like
them
it's like circumstances conspire
All of
as if to
them.
tell us something. Right.
All of them do. You just didn't notice it in the others.
Well, yeah.
Every circumstance is a teaching situation.
Okay.
Every one of them. Sometimes we notice it and sometimes we don't. But every circumstance or happening event out here around us, wherever we may be, is a teaching situation. And sometimes we recognize it and sometimes we don't. Okay? So thank goodness for the ones you recognize, and don't bother about the ones you didn't. They'll be around again. A similar one come back for long.
So what would you recommend for learning to decipher those circumstances? I know most of the people in this room, and I know they all have circumstances that they talk to me about from time to time, and they're always
Right.
wondering, what it means or where it's about, and
Well, let's just say, what does it mean? It's asking me one of these four questions, or answering me one of these four. It always does. Okay? So usually it gives me what's going on here. Now, I can find it and apply it personally, or I can be purely objective about it.
Right.
Now, the first question is, are you objective about the circumstance, or are you being subjective on it?
right?
If you're subjective, forget it and go on about to the next one, that you can be objective about it. If you're objective on it, you can see it has many levels of meaning and many things, and if the point is not to have somebody tell them, but for
Right.
your eye to guide them into seeing what it
Right.
means to them.
Right.
Now, what it means to Joe may be something that means altogether different to Susie, okay? So it's for us to get all the value out of the circumstance we can when we recognize their teaching situation.
Right.
Is that all right?
Mhm.
Don't try to have a preconceived that it means this or that or the other, because it may mean that, but it may mean 101 other things to the same person, okay? So let's get them to do the looking as much as possible. And usually it's involved with the question, what's going on here? So we'll have them check as to what's going on to them. But first, if it's a subjective situation, don't try to get anything out of it, because you won't. If it's objective, then you can automatically begin to see many things on it. Now, it's like people call me up every once in a while and want to know if I will do something about one of their physical ailments.
Right.
Okay? I can do that, fine. Now, if it was me, I'm going to call somebody else, because I would get all involved. It's subjective then, and I don't even bother to do things around nothing. Okay? Don't ever work on it. I may work on a pig, but I won't work on Robert. And the reason being that Robert is subjective. I'm
Right.
But I can work on anything that's objective. And by the same token, any circumstance that I get too involved in, call it, that I'm subjective about, there's no use for me asking any question about.
Mhm.
I just let that alone, let that go on. There'll be another one come by that I can be purely objective about. Okay?
Now, if someone else comes to you and they have, let's say, an unusual circumstance. Maybe they're being sued. Maybe they've had
Oh, we have that every day, yeah.
a sudden, strange injury, whatever it is.
Oh, yeah.
And they want to know what it might mean. Is it?
It means they're in trouble. That's all it means. It means they rubbed somebody the wrong way and they sued them, okay?
Right.
Now and then, we'll do everything we can possible to see that the judge thinks it's an unfit case and throws it out of court or something like that,
Mhm.
okay? And, we'll work on it for them, no matter what.
Mhm.
They ask, we'll do everything possible to get it all in a good light for all concerned, not to hurt the other guy either, but to get it all settled out where it's peaceful. Most of the time we find they quit suing and fighting and they go talk to each other and decide, well, we don't have to get involved in this, quit your fighting.
Mhm.
Yeah. I'd rather see it all settled peacefully.
Mhm. Well, sometimes you can sort of settle the situation on the outside, which I consider problem solving. I don't like to involve myself with
Well, I
that.
don't either, but people ask me, and so I decided a long time ago, I'd do whatever anybody asked me, as long as it wasn't illegal or in
Mhm.
too much difficulty. It can be as immoral as hell, I don't care, but just so it's not illegal, I don't want to get myself in the ring or somewhere.
Mhm. Mhm.
So I'll tackle anything if that somebody asks. I never volunteer.
Right.
Only if you ask, then I will take on anything, but I'll try never to do anything that would be detrimental to anybody or to me.
Right. But if someone comes to you and they ask you what the meaning is, or they want to see the meaning, I mean, some people, they go to psychics and things like that.
Well, I
because-
know, they go there, but they deserve what they get. So,
No, but what the purpose of bringing that out is it better to just point them in the direction of finding it themselves?
yes, always. Don't ever try to answer the question, because you just be being another authority.
Another
that,
guru, yeah.
You know,
Okay.
why should I express my viewpoint? Even if I thought I knew, I wouldn't express it. I would
No,
try
right.
to get them to look at it, not to come up, because, they go to these so-called psychics and so forth, and oh yes, this meant so and so and so and so.
Mm-hmm.
So if they're gullible enough to buy that, they're gullible enough to buy anything. They're gullible enough to buy what I told them, so I try to get them to find out for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
We're always working that the person learns how to learn to be responsible
Right.
for their own questions. Otherwise, they will ask you an endless number of questions, expect you to give an oracle of an answer. You be the all-knowing, the all-seeing eye, and just don't play that game. Okay?
But the first part of responsibility is knowing what they're doing, and oftentimes they don't even know what they're doing that is producing the situation.
Well, I know, but let's get them responsible and see what they're doing. Let them see what you're doing, not let me tell them. I tell somebody, you're making yourself sick, that's an excellent way to lose friends and alienate people. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
I'll try to let them find out they're doing it. I'm not in the business of losing friends and alienated people. Many, many years ago, the first book I ever wrote was How to Lose Friends and Alienate People. That was a howling success. It's standing on the shelves.
Well, what kind of things do you do to point people in the direction of seeing what it is that they're doing?
I just ask questions, appropriate kind of questions. I feel that the word education comes from the
You do.
word draw forth from within. So I keep pulling it out until maybe they'll see it themselves. Okay, yes, I'll spend a lot of time asking a lot of questions. Sit quietly and considerately, not like I ever want to witness stand across and examine them or anything. Yeah. That's a question here. And surprisingly, how quick they usually see what's going on. Okay.
Mhm, mhm. Okay, another subject. Again, you just said if someone asks you to do something that's not immoral or whatever, if someone comes to you and say they want to go through some kind of catharsis, you know, maybe they feel there's some
Tell 'em
feeling
don't
that they...
take X-Lax.
So you wouldn't bother with anything like that?
No, that's pseudo science, and I don't want to be bothered with that. No,
Okay.
I wouldn't do that. If they want to take a laxative, let them go take it. I don't care. If they want to laxative their brain, they can let it on somebody else. I don't want to hear that.
You're equating catharsis with a laxative?
Yeah, same
Well,
difference.
catharsis means a purification.
Same word,
Yeah.
it's just a synonym. I'm just using a more common word rather
Yeah,
than
yeah.
the more technical word. I'd like to be simple. Yeah. So they're going out and get all their, dump all their anger and their guilt, their fears and their anxieties. I don't find there's waste paper basket, chuck it in there. I don't want to be bothered with it. Don't bring it to my place. I'd rather somewhere else. Because all it is an attention-getting device anyway. They ought to get rid of it, but then they quit. You know, and if I didn't want to smoke cigarettes, I'd only do one thing, quit. I don't have to go tell you all the reasons that I got into this situation of smoking cigarettes. I don't want to drag this on me, and won't you please listen to me complain bitch about it. You want to quit? Well, you quit. So I went out to see a man one time, he was sitting in his chair on the back porch, beating himself over the head with a ball peen hammer. With the ball end of it, you know. You know what a ball peen hammer is? That's a hammer that's got a flat face on one side and half round on the other. Machinist hammer. He's sitting there beating himself over the head with that thing. What are you doing? You know, I can't quit. I said, the hell you can. Throw that damn hammer down. Oh! So, you know, you do have to take a little responsibility for yourself. Now, if I can get somebody else to take it on for me, I'm happy to give them a little stipend if they will keep me from being responsible. You know, when I say responsibility and freedom is the two sides of the same coin, that's another way you lose a bunch of people. They would like to have it where they don't have to be responsible at all for themselves. And that's one chore you're never going to get away from.
Well, what about a situation where, let's say, a person has made the decision that they, or at some point, obviously not recently, to not either feel a feeling or think a thought. This invariably will produce symptoms at some point. Now, they come to you and they want to...
I have talked to those folks. I've even talked to people who's in total amnesia. And you sit there and talk to them a few minutes, and you're very kind and agreeing with it and everything. And all of a sudden, they remember something, but they didn't know they told you. And then they say, you son of a bitch, you tricked me.
Yeah.
And I had a man call me from Alaska not long ago, and he said, I can't feel anything. I said, wonderful. You got peace of mind. No, I don't. I'm all upset about it. I said, is that being upset a feeling? Yeah. As he was said he went out into work in the unseen world. He had a bunch of work to do. When he came back, he didn't have any feeling. Well, I had him in 1 minute on the telephone telling me he had feeling. And then he got caught in it. So he hadn't called anymore. That's fine with me. That's fine with me. But somebody likes to come and tell me I can't think and all my thoughts have been stolen away by something and then all my feelings are stolen away. I just don't feel anything. I hear all that. But there's a difference between hearing it and buying it, and I don't buy it. Just because I can sit there and watch it. Now, I know what it is to have a numbness that you can't feel in your foot or your
Right.
leg. You can stick a pin in there and you don't feel it, that's all right. But that'll come too, we can fix that. But when you say that you don't have a feeling inside, it just means you don't have the one you want.
Yeah, but that's not what I was talking about. Some people refuse to permit an experience through. You know what I'm talking about?
They tell you that, but they are having it. But even if they're doing the blocking, it's up to them. I'm not in charge of what he should or should not feel.
No, I'm not saying you should be, but I'm saying if they want to get rid of the buffer which they seem to have misplaced.
Oh, well, that's easy.
Yeah, what do you do?
Just ask them what it is,
What is?
what the buffer is. You see, a lot of people have picked up a book
Yeah,
by somebody,
right.
and they like to act like they already understand all that book. They found some words in there, and now they're telling you all this hogwash.
Right.
If anybody wants to impress me, I look at them and say, I'm impressed. But I can't tell when somebody's trying to impress me, can't you?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I always say, as soon as you get started, I say, I'm impressed. I'm impressed. And you know something? The story gets changed real quick. Just keep saying, I'm impressed. You got a buffer. You're the first person I ever met with a buffer. I'm really impressed. Would you get the thing out and show it to me? I'd like to see one. Really? I'm telling you how it works, okay? Get that thing out. Somebody told me they had an anger that wouldn't quit. They had been angry for 15 years and there was no way to control this anger. I said, that must be a pretty good one. Let me see it. I'd like to look at that one. That sounds like it'd be very interesting. Get it out here and let's look at it.
Yeah, but that's sort of cheating, isn't it? I mean,
You better believe I'm cheating all the time. Any day of the week, I'm going to outnumber him. I'm going to outmaneuver him. You better believe it. I love these people come in and tell me, you can't do anything for me because I am totally hopeless and I've outdone you. And we call that stumping the teacher or stumping the doctor. And there's a bunch of people that have nothing better to do than do that. They try. But Robert's been at it for so many years that I can hear it coming and I know how to trip him. And so I reach out and go, he falls on his butt. Okay? Most of them are men, few of them are women that try that game. So they go around feeling, look at me, I'm a heavyweight, I can stump the teacher, I can stump the doctor. They go in and say, I can't do this, and this has never been done, and here I am. I haven't had a feeling of any kind in 15 years. I've even had people tell me they hadn't been asleep in 7 or 8 years. What can you do about it? I happen to know a little better than that, see. I've worked around people, when you keep them awake for 72 hours, they start hallucinating. You keep them up a little longer, they go to sleep. No matter what you're doing, you can shoot a cannon bomb and they're still going to go to sleep like a bear. They sleep walking around. Nobody went 15 years without a drunk to sleep. I've been asleep 1 minute in 15 years. Yeah, that's wonderful. Why don't you get in the Guinness Book of World Records? But you gotta prove it before you can get in there. Okay?
No. You're talking about a whole bunch of other things, which is not what my question was directed at. Things like allergies, which you have said on previous occasions, is because a person is refusing to think a thought, and when they've made that decision...
I'm not going to think about it, but they'll
Right.
start thinking about it in a minute if you tell them they're going to.
I think so.
Oh, sure. Any of those things last just about a minute, as long as you tell them it's all right to think about it. It's all right to think about whatever had happened. It usually doesn't matter then. I'll find them out. Now, I'm not going to suggest that they experience that, but you can think about anything. You can talk about anything. You're free to remember anything, as long as I decide I'm not going to think about something. It'll be the same as I'm not going to talk about it. Okay? So as soon as I agree to that, that's all right, but I can change it any minute. Not hidden away, it's just refused. And it's none of this stuff, you know, that Freudian put out, that you've got all this hidden stuff in there and you've got to bring it to the surface by long years of psychotherapy and etc. That's not the way it works. You can bring it up anytime when once you get around to the point of seeing that this person is not wanting to do something,
Right.
okay?
Yeah.
And I can find out if they really want to do the thing that if they're interested in feeling better over here, then they're interested in doing what little things necessary to do it, okay? If a man's drunk all the time and I find out he wants to be sober, he can get sober, is that right?
Right.
But as long as he don't ever decide he really wants to be sober, you know how long he's gonna stay drunk, don't you? For years, dying of old age as a drunken sot. But now if he wants to quit and get sober, he wants to be sober, we get him there real quick. Don't take a few hours, cold sober. Don't take a few hours. If
What
I
about-
want to remember something, I can remember it. If I don't want to remember it, I don't have to. Is that all right? I may take a lot of effort not to, but I can do it.
Touch on reality versus illusion or fantasy.
Well, that's so easy.
Yeah.
Don't bother me with that simple. Do you want to?
Yes, I want to, you seem to speak rather put down psychiatry and psychology a bit. And,
No, I didn't put it down.
Well,
I was a
let me
psychiatrist
finish
for
let me
many,
finish.
many years. Full-fledged, man.
Okay, fine. I'm considering moving into working at a psychiatric center, and I'm just sort of considering how I would fit in there. What value do you see in traditional psychiatric approaches to treating psychiatric patients?
Well, when you say traditional, I don't know, because there's umpteen schools traditional.
Well, I'm thinking what you might find in a regional psychiatric center for forensic patients.
Oh, well, I
criminal
think that's good,
element.
excellent service for him, excellent service for him. Try to get him out and get him doing something else before you get through it. That was a good way to do some acute care work, yes, by all means. Sure. Okay, you asked about fantasy.
Don't forget, it's too simple, Bob.
Well, it really is. Reality, you're sitting here with a striped shirt on. Fantasy is you're not here and there's a great big green frog sitting there with a yellow suit on. Which one are you buying?
The capital R.
Okay. Reality is pretty obvious. Fantasy is also obvious. I like to fantasize. It's great stuff. As long as I know I'm fantasizing. I can do a fantastic job. I can come up with some views. But I want to know I'm fantasizing. I don't want to think I got enlightenment from the heavens, okay? I'm fantasizing. I enjoy doing it. When I drive long ways in the car, I usually fantasize a lot. It's good entertainment. My movies are better than anything they got on the shelf down at the video store. I'll tell you that.
Does that work in there with dreams then, Bob?
Oh yeah, dreams are fantasies of some sort. Some sort. I don't take them for real or messages from on high, you know. They're just a bunch of stuff.
Bob, where
I
does
do.
dreaming fit in on the tone scale?
What kind of dreaming?
Well, when you're asleep and or sitting,
Oh,
what's
well,
called
you're in a
sleep.
coma then, so that whole
So you put it way down there.
Oh yeah, you can coma, you're out. You're not, that's one time you're not too responsible. You're asleep.
Okay. What about when
these
you have a
people-
dream and later on everything happens that was in that dream? Like,
Well, that's frequently.
well, yeah, I've had that
I
many
dream
times.
some ordinary mundane things, ordinary mundane things happen.
You know that's not what I mean. I'm not letting you go with that
They're
one.
not, I hardly would accept it as premonition or any of that sort, or prophecy or anything.
No,
I
I
just
don't
said,
either.
well, that's interesting. You see, I don't ask that question because I don't know, and that was one of those things that'll put that infinite loop in your head.
Right.
So I really don't care if I dreamed about it, something that really happened. Basically, I usually find that we have to rearrange the dream quite a bit to make it fit what did happen, but there was some little similarity in it.
Well, I know I've had experiences where I would be in a situation and I would remember suddenly that I had this in a dream,
Oh, yeah.
and then I'd know that so-and-so was going to walk up and say such and such, and I would turn and
Here
that
they
would happen.
come, and
Now,
they come
that's what's going on there.
back. You're recognizing what's.
Yeah, but it can happen 6 months in
You're asking
advance.
a question that can't be answered. And I said, I'm not going to ask unanswerable questions.
Well, I
want you
didn't
to-
ask why did it happen, I asked what's going on there.
Well, you could just rearrange the words so it'd sound better. You're asking why did this happen. Don't kid me, man. Yes, I found people that watch and they see that why questions are pretty invalid, so they start saying, how come? Okay. Okay. Yes, sir.
Understanding. Can you talk a little bit on understanding? People talk about wisdom and understanding.
That's what you're supposed to ask for as a gifting from the good Lord, so you'll be like Solomon.
Yeah.
Solomon asked and he got it, so why don't you ask, see if you get it. Wisdom and understanding is what comes from what we've been talking about today, teaching material that you begin to see how things work, okay? And that is, as you practice it now, I've just heard about it, that's worthless. But as you practice doing that, then wisdom and understanding comes to the front. Solomon didn't get wisdom and understanding, he asked for it. And the people assume, well, all he had to ask, and the good Lord come down with a golden shovel and shovel it on him. The point was he had to be a student a long time and work in a bed and practice it, and he got it. So he got what he prayed for and what he worked for. Because if you pray without works, you're kind of kidding yourself. It's wonderful to pray, which only means you're coming to a straight understanding of what it is you want to do, what your purpose is. That's what prayer is all about. Is not to get something for free on the golden shovel, but to really get straight in your head what it is that your purpose is, okay? That's what it's really about. That's all, okay? You got one there, John?
So, in kind of a summary, the only thing that we can do and the only thing that we really need to do is change our basic purpose in life.
Right, and to something that I consciously know what it is and go work at. I got work at it, okay? So I'd like to wisdom and understanding. So I'm going to study everything that lends to that. I'm going to do a considerable amount of observing out here and experiencing freely, okay? And I will get a certain amount of wisdom and understanding. That's what I set out as my purpose, okay?
It sounds like the same thing though, wisdom and understanding. It's what's going on here.
Well, they're closely related as two sides of the same coins, like freedom and responsibility. Same coin, just turn it over. Which side's heads, which side's tails, I don't know. So wisdom and understanding is two sides of the same coin. One is an act of doing it, the other is something you can hand out, okay? Wisdom is transmittable to somebody else so that they might can have wisdom, not saying what you got, but they've got something to start working on. And understanding is something you do. So it's really the same, two sides of the same coin. Yeah, it's not something separate, okay?
Bob, you were talking about your opinion of catharsis, and I understand where you're coming from with that, except that isn't catharsis part of a healing process? That there are cathartic experiences that people go through as they grow and evolve?
I guess it could, not necessarily. After all, what a catharsis in its true meaning is, that you now have thrown it out. It doesn't mean you had to unload it all on somebody and do all this. You put that purpose out of your mind. I no longer have as my purpose to be non-disturbed or what have you, and I no longer have as my purpose to rehash all these times I've been mistreated. You know, when a person comes in and says, you say, tell me about yourself, well, first off, I had a very unhappy childhood. Well, when you dump that idea, it didn't take any great deal of hours and hours of psychotherapy. It just meant that I'm not decided not to feel sorry for myself anymore for something that happened 10 years ago. It's not happening now, so I don't see it. All these things are wonderful revenue producers for the activity. You know, we had on here that we had 4 great professions. As long as you're abnormal, and you accept that you're abnormal, you're going to need treatment. And there's going to be lots of people to treat you for a lovely fee. Okay? And I don't find any fault with any of those therapies, because if you went back into my past, I've probably done all of it. I'm not proud of it, but I probably did all of it, okay? Pretty well. As long as I was doing the best that I knew how to do with what I had, living out to try to get people well, and I used all these things of getting them to work it off and work it out. Tell them it was like a barrel of pickles. When you take off the top pickle, another one floats up. You could probably do that through the whole 55-gallon barrel. Yeah, all sorts of logical, but not true.
So what's true?
What is? What is true, not what ought to be, not theories and all this, but what is. That's what's true. Not what I think.
So what's the value then for the rational, logical approach to therapy?
Huh?
What's the value to the rational, logical approach to therapy that you
Somewhat, if they really used it, they'd be all right.
Pardon me?
If they really used it, first you gotta understand what you're made of and what you're like. We drew a picture up here this morning of how you made a basic decision, went through, we call that the picture of man. Without it, you can sure waste a lot of time in conversation with the client and earn a lot of money in the process. To get across something can be done very quickly.
Categorizing where he's at.
Yeah, where it is, what's going on and so forth, and getting all kinds of diagnosis, what have you.
Confrontation. What about confrontation?
That's for armies and other people, because I don't confront nothing or nobody.
What about confronting injustice or ignorance or
Huh?
confronting an injustice?
Oh, I
Some
don't
sort
know
of
what's
ignorance?
justice, so I just stay away from it. I don't like confrontation, so I don't do it. So what?
What do you do? How are you supposed to handle it when a person forced to is presented to you?
When what?
You are confronted.
Oh, well, I'm
Either right or
confronted.
wrong,
I
you
will
are.
make peace as soon as possible. I've been confronted lots of times. In fact, not long ago, and a couple of days ago, we make peace. I'm a peacemaker, not a settler.
What distinction do you make there? Settler?
Huh?
Did you say settler?
Instead of trying to settle things, I make peace instead of trying to make justice. I don't know what justice means, but I'm a pretty good peacemaker, though. Somebody comes in screaming, yelling, I usually get them peaceful a little while. More like to have them laughing than that. When everybody gets laughing, everything's working pretty good.
Have you been a blonde all your life?
Have I been what?
A blonde all your
Of
life?
course not. Who wants to say the same thing all your life? not blonde, damn gray. Ancient, gray beard, gray ancient vividity. No, I wasn't blonde. I've never been a blonde.
Dr. Bob, I've been working at developing and create a committed relationship with a woman. And in light of some of your comments, you were mentioning about subjective and objective points of view in the work. I'm wondering how best a couple can grow together in a committed relationship while they're still working with these ideas.
Or they can probably do that very quickly as long as they didn't sit down and talk about the value of this relationship, et cetera, just had a good time on this together. I think you know, I know people go on dates and they sit and psychoanalyze each other all night. Well, you don't know what this is all about. You're doing something that has no relationship. I wouldn't bother with all that. I hear people are going to found a meaningful relationship. That's what you said. You're trying to build one. Forget it. Just go have fun with the pretty lady and be done with it. Okay? Have fun with the pretty lady. Or girls are to be enjoyed. Men are to be enjoyed, aren't they? Not analyzed. Don't make anything important, and you might have a good time, okay? And certainly don't go out to psychoanalyze her or allow yourself to be. If you got that to do, you'll never find anything but hassle each other, and that won't be a meaningful relationship. You won't even have Dr. Klein relationship. Just be fun. Go have a good time. If she can't have a good time, I don't want to be related to her anyway. Okay? That's what a meaningful relationship. Can I have a good time with you all the time without going into all this heavy stuff? Okay, let's call it a day. What do you say? All the questions quit, everything got done, settled everything down to the last ditch, didn't we?
Oh, I don't know.
Anybody got any burning question other than ask me funny questions? You know, you don't want to ask me where I was born and why.
What about promiscuity? I mean, do you see that as something detrimental or as something?
Well, it's unnecessary, let's put it. I have no opinion about it one way or the other. That's up to the person. I don't have any comments on it. I'm not, but these days it's dangerous. There's no other reason.
How about flirtation?
Oh, it's great stuff.
Yeah, it's
have fun, man. I said, gotta have fun. Go out and play around. Sure, flirt with any pretty girl you can find, as long as your study's not long.
See, yeah, there you go.
Thank you, Dr. Bob.
You don't have to ask questions like that. Everybody knows the answer to that.
Well, I know,
You
I just
know.
want other people to hear it.
Huh?
I wanted other people to hear it, that's all.
After all, why should you flirt around? Look what you got with you. Hang in there, man. Anybody that didn't have enough to keep that going sure needs a lesson in wisdom and understanding. Doesn't he?
Yes, I can. I have to.
The other point of view. Well, thank you very much, Bob.
Sure.
Yes, thank you very much.
He's got to be reminded about that, man. You think something, it's worse than something wrong with your friggin' eyesight, man. Right?
Focal point.
Yep. That's
Square
wrong.
that looks round.
When you come up with that, like, then you have that available. Thinking about anything else is completely a waste of time. You are very.
Kiss to the camera.
Justin. Just in time with the camera.
Just in time.
Yes, that's
Folks, I
right.
have sure enjoyed the day with you. I hope you had an endurable time anyway.
Okay, Justin, ask you another question.
I hope you've endured it with the minimum distress.
Okay. Sit down beside Dr. both of you look at it.
Thank you very much for coming up here, Bob.
Thank you, enjoy as always. I love to come here.
Lady.
I mean, come 3 or 4 times a year, I like that.
Yeah. Trying to arrange.
We're all on
something.
camera.
It's better than Santa Claus.
Oh, well,
It's once a year.
I wouldn't find a thing wrong with the weather that's going on
If
this
you brought your
week.
car down, we could have given you a free car wash. Natural.
Well, that's good. I get.
Holistic car wash.
Holistic.
Yeah. Well,
New age.
I have a black car. And
Oh.
it usually needs to be white.
Mhm.
They're the dirtiest things there is. Take it to the car wash, bring it home, send it out overnight, go out next morning, it's gonna be stuff all over it.
Oh, pussycat's been your concern.
Well, no, it's usually got humidity and dust. That makes it a little funny looking. The rivers all over it.
Yeah.
Black stuff, it's real shiny black. Hard to keep looking at this. Always have color. Blue, green. Silver. The silver one I think was at least showing a very, really good show. Silver. My little girl was trying to take a picture, she sticks your tongue out at you. Just slip up on me. Folks, everybody have a lovely, lovely week.
Okay.
Yeah, you too.
Thank you so very much, and it's great to see everybody.
Well, thank you, Bob.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. You're gonna take me to the airport tomorrow.
Monday.
Monday? No, I'm going tomorrow.